All right, well, let's go ahead and get started as people continue to join. Thank you again for coming to Wellness Wednesday. I'm Becca Hauff, University Pastor, and April White is our other host for Wellness Wednesdays. She is Assistant Director of Counseling Services. And we are excited to continue on our theme using the tree of contemplative practices with activist practices today. And we are really excited to have the Peace Studies Department join us to share today. So Virginia and Elton, I will turn it over to you, and thank you so much.
Yay, thanks so much, Becca. Yeah, we're really excited to be here hosting some wellness for you all. Today, Elton and I have just prepared, we have a short video, kind of activism focused meditation, and then we'll go into a short discussion. So I'll kind of turn it over to Elton to give us just a short intro to the meditation that we're going to be looking at today.
Yeah, thank you, Becca. Thank you, Virginia. So this is the practice that we're going to be introduced to is called Tonglen. And I really like the practice. It comes from Tibetan Buddhism. I first learned about that because often Dalai Lama often has been using it and as a way to still be centered while continue the activism for a lot of Tibetans, many of whom, like Dalai Lama, are exiles. They fled China. And so, but just in terms of context, I think kind of we've seen a recognition in contemplative practices in activism in the past decade. I would say when I was a student 20 years ago, there was not a lot of ideas about how to be more mindful, etc. I mean, the most that we were told is, well, be careful about burnout, go for a run, go to the gym. So it was very, very much kind of exercise bound. And right now, though, there is, as many activists are called to engage in the world while at the same time not turn the difficult emotions and the angers that they feel toward using violence toward others. So then there is a way to kind of be centered. And so there's a lot of the practices that are used now are essentially pausing, recognizing the emotions, using our breath and body sensing, and then reacting in a way that is purposive, intentional, and nonviolent. All right, Virginia, I'm gonna leave it back to you so we can see Tonglen.
Awesome. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen now, so forgive me if there's any technical difficulties. I'm gonna also share computer sound. Can you all see that okay? Right, I'm just gonna throw it into full screen if I can do that. All right, here we go.
To Tonglen for a world that is falling apart. So on the in-breath, you breathe in whatever particular area, group of people, country, or even one particular person. Maybe it's not this more global situation. Maybe it's breathing in the physical discomfort and mental anguish of chemotherapy. All the people who are undergoing chemotherapy, and if you've undergone chemotherapy and maybe out the other side, it's very real to you. Or maybe it's the pain of those who have lost loved ones suddenly or recently, unexpectedly, or over a long period of time, someone dying. But the in-breath is you find some place on the planet, in your personal life or in your something that you know about, and you breathe in with the wish that those human beings or those mistreated animals or whoever it is, that they could be free of that suffering. And you breathe in with the longing to remove their suffering. And then you send out, I often say, just relax out and send enough space so that people's hearts and minds feel big enough to be able to live with their discomfort, their fear, or their anger, or their despair, or their physical or mental anguish. But you can also breathe out for those who have no food and drink. You could breathe out food and drink. For those who are homeless, you could breathe out, send them shelter. For those who are suffering in any way, you could send out safety and comfort. So with the in-breath, you breathe in with the wish to take away the suffering, and you send out with the wish to send comfort and happiness to the very same people or animals or nations or whatever it is you decide. So do this for an individual or do it for large areas. And if you have more than one subject in mind, that's fine. Breathing in there with the wish to relieve their suffering, and on the out-breath, sending them relief. And just keep breathing in deeply and breathing out. Taking in as fully as you can, radiating out as widely as you can.
I want to thank everyone for participating in that meditation with us. As we were looking at the kind of ask for Wellness Wednesday and the tree of contemplative practice that Becca and April are working with, we spent some time looking at the activism branch and what that kind of looks like. And a lot of the recommendations for the activist side of things were to maybe participate in a pilgrimage or take part in a protest or rally. And while those things are incredibly meaningful, a lot of them aren't possible right now. And as Elton said, kind of in the introduction to this, there's been a change in the past few years of focusing on internal wellness within, the peace and justice community. And that's something that we kind of wanted to bring to the forefront of this Wellness Wednesday, but also to remember that this kind of meditation must be coupled with practice. In the same way that we breathe out healing energy, we must also, kind of let that inform the way that we act, and provide healing and relief in the ways that we can, even in these strange and unusual times, as people like to say. Elton, what are your thoughts after that meditation?
Yeah, so I mean, I really, Pema Chodron, who led it, is one of the foremost Buddhist practitioners and thinkers, and great writer as well. And I wanted to, I mean, I personally use it to kind of center and kind of and also connect the mindfulness and intentional living with also worldly action. Because a lot of the time it can be, I mean, if you're feeling very much at peace, then, and you might not want to kind of deal with structural injustice, etc. So there is a way to kind of connect them all. Yeah, I wanted to hear from others about how was it like? What was the experience like?
I was a little distracted in my taking attendance, but I do have something to share about the singing bowl. The singing bowls just give me a deep, deep peace. Just that sound, whether they are hit or, in the circle with the radiating sound. And that's what's sitting with me right now, is the feeling of inner peace that I receive just from that sound and the opportunity to be still and silent.
One thing that struck me during the kind of breathing portion of the exercise was recognizing the ease and simplicity of airflow through my lungs, which is something that I've become a lot more grateful for in the recent months, and thinking about people who don't have that same capacity right now, and just appreciating the way that breath feels filling up my lungs, and that feeling of health, something that I'm trying to value today and every day.
I was reminded of the difference between meditating alone and meditating together. I was part of a group that would meet to meditate on campus in Petersheim, and was struck by how meditating together allows you to get over the more uncomfortable parts. It's like there's a community to support you through those places where you might want to squirm, or you might want to call it quits for the day, and how that ties so well to the concern about activism, or the call for activism, is that when we are in a project or in a pursuit, in a movement together to bring about lasting change, it's easier, it's more possible, we can go farther if we're in that together.
I was reminded that during these times, often we all have these things going on in our heads. And what I liked about this meditation was that it made me intentionally think of others, because while you might have momentary thoughts about people. I was able to move from sort of who is in pain and who needs help in a different way. So I really appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate you all taking the time to gather together with us. I think this is like a wonderful thing that Manchester and April and Becca provide for us on a weekly basis. It's really, really nice to have this and to just have, you all devote 20 minutes of your busy lives to thinking about some specific part of wellness. I think that that's really meaningful as well. And I really appreciate that. So if anybody has any closing thoughts, I'd be very welcome right now. Otherwise, I hope you all have a wonderful, productive, and not too stressful rest of your week.
And we hope you will join us on December 16 for our last Wellness Wednesday of the semester, where we will be dealing with the relational branch of the Tree of Contemplative Practices. So have a lovely rest of your day. And thank you, Virginia and Elton, so much.
Yay, thank you.